Well, throughout the history of our state, there have been many abandoned communities known as ghost towns. And there's one right here in East Texas that motorists drive through each and every day. KLTV7's Bob Hallmark has more on the effort to restore the old Gregton area of Longview.
This row of buildings in Longview is what was once known as Willow Springs.
This used to be its own unique place with its own unique identity, community, and group of people.
It started as a stop on the Texas and Pacific Railroad in the early 1870s and became a shipping point for area farmers. But the town faded away in time.
Through the years, fallen into disrepair. Gregton and its history has disappeared over time.
In 1920, 180 people called Willow Springs home. A post office was granted in 1932, and it's assumed the name was changed to Gregton.
The mailbox where they would receive the mail is still affixed to the side of the structure.
Many buildings still sport the Gregton name.
It was a once thriving community during the oil boom, but now just a collection of old dilapidated buildings. That's where the Historic Preservation Commission comes in.
Our plan is to save the buildings, cleaning them, putting in the original wood-clad windows. Just to see them wither away like this has been really heartbreaking for many people. And I reached out to both the City of Longview and the State Historic Commission, and we developed a plan to get this nationally recognized on the National Registry of Historic Places.
Barker's hope is it becomes a popular landmark.
That these properties are worth saving, that they matter. A place for people to live and work and shop in, just grow the community and create a vibrant life center.
Bob Hallmark, KLTV 7 News.
When I was growing up, my dad worked in that area. I never knew any of that. The town was annexed by the city of Longview back in the 50s, although the Gregton post office stayed open until May of 1960. Restoration work has already begun on those buildings.